Hey, what's going on? This is Khaliq, and I am back to do another bit of my insights on a case study by Fleck. He submitted a song and to get my insights and feedback about. The song is called Milltown, and it's a very cool song. So, Pat, I want to send you a few things, some of my first impressions. Now, this is for the rest of you to know. This is just the stereo track, so I don't have individual tracks or a session, either Pro Tools or Studio One or anything like that. So I'm just listening to the overall stereo track. But Pat, when you go back in, just go ahead and try to implement a couple of things and see if you can ignite your thought process about the different things you highlight based on a couple of things I tell you. If it benefits you, if you feel it gets to the core of what you want this song to be at its full potential. Anyway, this is called Milltown. I'm gonna play it and then I'll tell you guys some of my thoughts on it, okay? Let's go back here. So we got drums. I like the wall guitar I'm hearing in there, guitars, piano.
When you live in an old mill town, you'll spend your life on the poison ground. When you live in an old mill town, don't let that mill town grind you down. When you walk down a Milltown street, don't stare at the people you meet. Look away as you walk on by. Don't let them catch your eye. Milltown got a hold on me. Milltown won't set me free. Milltown boy, Milltown girl, got no future in this world. Milltown boy, Milltown girl, got no future in this world. Ain't seen you round.
Okay, so now it repeats again and everything. Okay, so it's a nice song. It has a good, happy feeling to it. And let me tell you a couple of my insights on it, that things that I'm hearing. And a couple of the things that I think will help you elevate this to the next level. And wait, there was something that I was looking for. Oh, okay. Something that I think will help you elevate this to the next level. Go back and try soloing or muting out some stuff and do a couple of different combinations of instruments, because I feel that this song will benefit from focusing rhythmic and melodic things for different parts of the song. Right now, my first impression is the song, everything's kind of on one plane through the whole song, you know, and it has the potential to play with people's emotions. I'll explain to you what I mean in a minute when we do a playback. I'll kind of show you. There should be some handoffs and transitions that happen that'll, you know, that'll enhance and play with people's emotions as they're listening as you go from section to section. The song should feel like a journey. And right now, everything is kind of coming in at one time and kind of staying there. So I'll show you what I mean. Let's play this from the beginning, and then I'm gonna also mention a couple of things, because you've got the elements all in there, you know. So just getting them clear where everything can be heard when it needs to be. So let's play it again. So the main drum beat. Now that's a pretty loose sounding snare. Not bad though. So I'm not against that or anything. But we got the wah-wah going back there and the other guitar playing.
When you live in an old mill town.
Now check it out. What is that I'm hearing? I'm hearing a bunch of toms playing in there.
When you live
And
in
it.
an old mill town.
Well, let me stop that for a second.
Don't let that mill town grind.
Let's stop that for a second right there, and we'll pick it back up. Okay, so once we got into that verse, that first verse and everything. Now I understand it's the verse and a little excitement. We got some tom things going on there and everything. Now the big problem that I'm hearing is suddenly it got really, really muddy with all that stuff going on there. So EQ wise and maybe going through some kind of noise gates or something. It needs to be tightened up because those toms suddenly came in there and it just washed out the whole low end by being a bit too much, you know. Now, you know, it may require a slightly different balance because here's what I'm hearing from the drums and the bass. You know, you've got a real nice bass line. I like that bass. Doom, 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 doom. And the drums are basically right under that. Doom. So they should be working together as a pulsing unit. So they should be working together, and the drums should be right there, so that they almost sound like one unit. The bass is kind of separated from the drums. The drums actually get lost, especially when a lot of the other instruments come in and the vocal and everything. Whereas you want to have that's your foundational unit. So go back and look at that and see how you can make that more solidified and everything. The other thing is the low end. I'm listening, and I'm going to explore a couple of things on here, but it's really getting muddied up on that low end. There's a lot of low end information that I'm hearing that is kind of smearing it over. So if we can find a way to clear some of that up and everything, I actually think the bass, even though it's a nice melodic bass and everything, I think at this stage, until you got other things either a little more placed and present, the bass is too loud compared to everything else. You know, it's a nice melody, and I've told you guys before, a melodic bass, so that can make it more of a bass song in the low end as opposed to the kick drum as far as who's going to rule down there. But to me, this bass is a little too low in relation to the drums, because I lose the drums through the song at different points, especially as it gets more dense, and I really lose the drums when those toms come in. So a little bit of shuffling of the balance, I think, will benefit you on that. Okay, so let me continue on here for a second.
You'll spend your life on the poison ground when you live in an old mill town.
You hear all that?
Don't let that mill town grind you down.
Okay. And so you see how I went into this B section here. The toms still kind of lingered over. So maybe think about editing them to make a cleaner transition from one section to the next. Because that kind of, them toms and everything kept going and everything. Maybe it was finishing some kind of fill or whatever, but it just sounds a little loose. And I think it might tighten up if you consider. You know, now I could be totally wrong because I don't have the multi-tracks to see it, but my initial impression is tighten it up a bit where that transition going into that B section is a cleaner transition too, and that way you can focus in on some other sounds in there as well. Now here's the other thing too. You've got some guitars in there. You've got a wah-wah guitar and everything, and the guitars need to be a little more present and in your face. And also need to be a little wider. You know, they need to be more out to the sides right now. Everybody's kind of blended in and crowded in this middle area, and I can hear that you got some things kind of spaced out, but the problem is that we're all washing together. I don't know if you're running it all through like maybe one effect or something like that, but something is kind of cramming everybody into the same space. So maybe consider, if you got effects on there, consider taking a listen without any of the effects. Mute all the effects and just see what it sounds like without them at first, just as a reference, and then make a choice and say, okay, let me put just the effect on this and leave it off the other stuff and see what it sounds like. Oh, okay, I see what's happening with that. Okay, let me turn that back off. Let me try with this other thing that's similar, and then see if you like one better than the other. Because here's the secret with things like reverb that I've told you guys before. Reverb gives an psychoacoustic effect that when it's on one or two things, it sounds like it's on everything. So you really don't need a lot, and you don't need to run things through a lot. On a previous thing I showed where somebody was running all their effects through a reverb and everything. And while you can do that, but you have to understand why you're doing it and when to do it, because sometimes you want it as a whole unifying thing, but other times it can make a big mess because it just starts smearing more stuff together when you've got stuff that's not separated enough. Okay, so take a look at you know, seeing if maybe you can dry up a couple of things. See if you can widen out the guitars left and right. You know, you got here's one of my in one of my previous training sessions where I teach you guys what to look for. What's the star player in this song? So this changes throughout this song, but right now you've got some guitars and piano in there, wah wah guitar, regular guitar, one or two, I'm not sure how many's in there, and a piano or two or whatever. And I hear the piano constantly through the song, which is cool because it sounds good and it's part of the vibe and everything. But there's a star player thing that I'm thinking, and you might want to play with this. You know, if I had the multi-tracks, I could play it to see. But see, for section by section, there's times when I feel the guitar should be the star, and the piano should be kind of tucked under, just supporting it enough to hear that there's a piano there, but not the main thing. It's just blending in, part of the way you EQ it and blend it and balance it, where it's supporting what the main star is. There's a couple of times where I'm hearing that wah wah going in there, like in the chorus, I believe it is. The chorus, to me, where like the verses, to me, they feel good as the guitars. You know, you got the bass playing doom doom and the guitar strumming the ding 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 ding. You know, so that little ding gang, you know, the ding 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 ding. That's where the groove is. Ding. You gotta, if you can enhance that little ding ding ding, so you enhance that little part of the beat where it gets in there and lays down. The things that are making that happen will make that song just feel a little more like it's alive and pushing forward, because that, you know, that just kind of pulls you, you know, ding, 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 ding. It's just pulling you forward for each one. So I would find a way to pull that out of your groove and everything. But then when it gets into the chorus part, you know, and you got the vocals singing, and the vocals doing some oohs and things like that. Look at maybe the placement of them vocals, those oohs and everything, because they're oohs. They're not like, it's not like an important lyric, and they're pretty loud right now, so they come in and draw a lot of attention. I'm thinking that something like that might need to be a little bit more kind of back and ghostly, just support thing where you can hear that it's in there, but it doesn't have to be all loud and in your face, because it's not as important as your vocal. Your lead vocal needs to stay nice and clear and in front, and then that stuff like that can be supportive, you know. What else was I going to say? So on the vocals, thin them out, maybe investigate thinning out on some of the low end stuff, and kind of set them back where they're just kind of back. You can hear them. Still make sure they have enough weight so that they don't sound puny, but they don't need to sound big and thick and rich, because it's not that important of a part to be out that front. You know, I mentioned separate the wah wah. I mentioned the bass. The chorus, when it transitions to the chorus, I think the good thing to maybe experiment with is to see if the chorus, to me, my initial thought without having the multi-tracks is that once it transitions into the chorus section, it should become more of a piano. The piano should be more of the star player as far as the instruments are concerned, as opposed to the guitar in the verses. The guitar is in the verse and everything, but to me, then once it hits into the chorus, it changes over to piano, and then that little wah is doing a little weird thing, add a little funky thing. So let me let you hear what I mean by that.
You'll spend your life on the
See, all this could be, to me, this is where the strum guitar.
you live in an old mill town. Don't let that mill town grind you down.
Now we're in the B section. That should be a, see, now the toms are gone and it cleared up. But now we're back into the groove. It should be back with that guitar driving it.
Don't stare at the people you meet.
And pull those toms back or do something and tighten them up.
Don't let them catch your eye.
See, now we're, see,
Got a hold on me.
we still got the toms on there. And the toms are okay in there.
Milltown boy, Milltown girl.
See now we're into the chorus. This is where it's more of a piano song, piano on the wall. And you got that the wah wah going, and suddenly that guitar comes out, and that should be big. Then drop them back into the groove with the strum guitar.
Don't wanna see you around here no more. Round here no one jumps for joy. You ain't from round here, are you, boy?
Now it's over. See, and it tightens up. I like to see it actually get tight and then back into the groove. Different tone. See, right now there's too much on the same. You could play with people and then drop them in.
No one there to take your heart. They'll break your bones and steal your heart.
Now into the piano.
Milltown won't set me free.
Call and response. See, the ooze could be wider and a little more ghostly than that and then that guitar that came into the power guitar. That needs to be clear, fat, and relatively dry, you know, dry but wide, so that it pulses out that sound and then drops them back into the next section. I hope this gives you some insights to a couple of things. Going inside of your multi-track will reveal a lot of stuff to you, and if you just play around, you'll be able to find some better combinations. Go ahead and see if any of that resonates with you, and that'll help you. Then post a new link, send me you know, just send me the song again, do a couple of things and send it to me, and show me the improvements that you made and everything, and mention it to everybody that, yeah, I took it from here to here, you know, based on this, that, and the other, so that we can all kind of see what's going on and what worked for you. I think the main thing is, oh, I know what I was going to do. Before I let you go, let me just go over here and let's take a look into this session and see what's happening in here, okay? So, okay, so we got this, and what I did was I wanted to see, because remember I mentioned that I thought it had a ton of low end and stuff like that. So, you know, I put the meters on it, the spectrum meter. So let's take a look at that and just see what we got.
You'll spend your life on the poison ground when you live in an old mill town. Don't let that mill town grind you down. When you walk down a Milltown street.
Yeah, so I mean, you can clearly see it on that curve. Look at that. I mean, all the information's here now, and it's okay to have a bit of a slope, in fact, you know, but it's like really got, you know, you see that it's got all this low end and stuff down here, and the low end is going out real far too. You know, this is down in the 30s, you know, 30s and 40s and stuff like that, and there's a lot of low end stuff that's up here that's very loud. It's much louder than where the mid stuff and the high end stuff is. So this tells you there's a lot of mud and stuff happening down there, and there isn't a lot of low end stuff that's actually in the track that low to need to be that loud, to have that much up on that meter like that. So, you know, look at controlling your low end a little bit more. I think it'll help clear up a lot of things. But you know, and then here's the other thing. I mean, it just shows a clear deficit up in these, you know, once everything's here from 500 on down is pretty packed, and that's what our ears definitely are confirming. But then from 500 up, it starts tailing off, other than that hi-hat. This is where the hi-hat bumps are happening above 5K and everything. So that's, and so that just shows you that in your upper mids, your mids and your upper mids need to have a look at to bring some things out. That's where that piano and its speaking and the guitar speaking and stuff like that are gonna work. Or more importantly, you may not even have to take out so much down there, but you've got too much added in this low end side here. So there's so much going on in the low end that you know, it's just kind of washing over the high end. Let's take a let's look at let's look at the Pro Q.
When you live in an old mill town, don't let that mill town grind you down.
So I'm going to try an experiment here. Okay, on the Pro EQ, I'm going to put some filters on. I'm going to put an extreme filter on the bottom and one on the back.
You'll spend your life on the poison ground.
And I'm going to do a real steep.
When you live
steep cutoff, you know, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the high end, you know, with 48 dB octave. So I got the extremes on each side. So let me do this. I'm gonna take out some of the lows.
Don't stare at the people you meet. Look away as you walk on by.
Now I just took out, I'm at 48, 49 right now. Let's go on up.
Milltown got a hold on me.
Let me go way up.
Milltown won't set me free. Milltown boy, Milltown girl, got no future in this world. Milltown
So you can see it, and you can hear that low end is way, I mean the ooze. Okay, let me back this out. Get you some bass.
Ain't seen you round here before. Don't wanna see you round here no more. Round here,
Now let's take it.
Jumps for joy.
Now you hear all that rumbling?
You ain't from round here. Oh,
We gotta tame some of that.
Life is tough.
Let's check this out. You hear all that? Okay, let's do this. Let's take some of the high end. Hear all that low end rumble stuff that we got in there? Let's go down real low and see what's really in this way in this low end. So all of that is what's kind of rolling around down in there without it being under control. Because even with the high end filtered off, if we had that a little more tamed out, we should still be able to, even though we're just hearing low end, we should be able to hear distinct parts of the low end. And it's just all kind of washed over, everybody's working together, so there's no predominant thing that's taking that stuff and the other stuff supporting it. Just kind of, you know, blurring the whole bottom end. And right now I'm at 291, 300. And you see all this stuff, there's still a lot in here all the way down until we get up like above 500. Now you can start hearing some separation of stuff. See, now, I mean, I just did that as you know, it's just something, you know, this is not a definitive type of test, so don't take that as being definitive way to go about doing this. I did this, I popped it on to confirm what my ears were hearing. It's like, I'm hearing a lot of low end mud and rumble. So let me take out all the high end and just listen to what's going on down there. Is it really rumbling as much as I'm thinking, you know? And it is. So, okay, that just says, okay, I've got to control a couple of things, you know. Start by breaking it down and then build it back up, you know. Okay, I'm just, you know, giving you some general things that you can immediately go on and just find a way to do it. But I just want to confirm with you, there's, you know, ways of getting this under control in the front end, and then it'll make everything else work a lot better. Work on getting a better balance. You know, I'd say start again, even just to try. You've got this mix and you've got it saved. So try starting again from scratch and do a rebalance with what you know. And then see if you can beat the other one without, you know, see if you can basically beat the other one by rebalancing and then trying to control a couple of the things with the low end and stuff like that. Okay. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but sometimes when there's good points, I don't mind going longer because I think this will help everybody when you think about some of your stuff like this. So anyway, I hope, Pat, that helped you out. Go try some of that stuff and then let me see the results you got and, you know, let everybody know what you did, okay? I'll talk to you soon. Thanks. Oh, I wanted to say one other thing, too. One other thing is, and let me go back over here real quick. And if you think you want to hook up and have me, you can learn from as I post these different things, but if you think you need some personal one-on-one help, get on my calendar. Just go to bookme.name/Khaliq, or shoot me an email to Khaliq at Khaliq-O-Vision.com. And then let's talk further and see if and how I can help you maybe move further along faster with whatever's directly, specifically applies to you. Just get on my calendar and we'll see what we can do. I'll give you a free 15-minute strategy session where you can go ahead and we can discuss what you're trying to do and what you're, what's keeping you from, breaking through the way you want. I'll see if I can help you find some different options and solutions for that and help you gain clarity. Anyway, this is Khaliq. Get on my calendar if you get a chance, you need more help. I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks.